All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So Peter Schrager of the NFL Network just released his newest mock draft, and of course, he is the host of Good Morning Football, but at the same time, he does have a lot of connections and everything like that around the league, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump right in. So first up, he is the Jacksonville Jaguars going Travon Walker, defensive lineman from Georgia, and obviously there's been a ton of speculation surrounding this pick, and I don't feel like it's as obvious as last year. I mean, the Jags could have turned in the card for Trevor Lawrence months before the draft even started, okay? I don't feel like the Jaguars have made up their mind completely. There's a bunch of different guys that could be in play here. But look, would Travon Walker come in and make this team better? The answer is yes, okay? He provides an insanely high upside, an athletic freak, a versatile player on the defensive line. And on top of all that, the Jaguars are transitioning to a 3-4 defense, so he would come in and fit the system. I do feel like Walker is one of these boomer bust style of guys. I mean, you take a look at the combine performance, you look at the physical measurables, and then you compare it to the on-field production last season. It doesn't really match up, but he could be a great player. Okay, the guy has, again, that insanely high ceiling. So personally, I would want the Jaguars to go maybe with more of a safer player here, because I don't really feel like they're in a position to swing for the fences and to, draft a quote-unquote bust with the first overall pick. But, at the end of the day, the draft is not a perfect science, and any one of these guys could be a bust. So, we've seen Balky go for the more athletic type of players. We've seen him go with the head scratcher, and it's worked out in some cases, okay? So, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but yeah, he is Travon Walker going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, next up at pick number 2, he is the Detroit Lions going Aidan Hutchinson, edge rusher from Michigan. Makes a lot of sense here. Okay, Travon Walker going first overall. Aidan Hutchinson has the power, he has the speed, he has the size. He's 6'6", 6'7". He comes in and fits the system. He'll help get in the backfield, help get after quarterbacks. He's coming in at a huge position of need, and I think not only is Aidan Hutchinson just going to be coming in and having an impact rookie year, but he also provides that high ceiling, and he also has that culture changer mentality, which I feel like the Detroit Lions kind of lack defensively. They have a lot of really talented players. Of course, you have Okudah coming back at corner from his injury. I'm hoping everything is fine on that front, and there's no sort of hiccups, there's no sort of setbacks or anything like that. Big fan of Tracy Walker. I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of a lot of these Detroit Lions players, a lot of the younger guys. Oruwariye at corner. I really love the direction of Detroit, and I feel like adding a guy in Aidan Hutchinson helps in so many different areas. Again, getting after the passer, stopping the run, getting in the backfield, making everybody's life easier. Dan Campbell can't right the ship by himself. Okay, I love the coaching staff, but I do feel like this Lions team really lacks the cornerstones on the field, the franchise types of players, the untouchable types of players. And if you have an opportunity here to go get a TJ Watt, a Myles Garrett, okay, one of these premier pass rushers off the edge at spot number 2, you got to do it. Okay, so next up at pick number 3, he has the Houston Texans going Ikem Ekwonu, tackle from NC State. I absolutely love this for the Texans. Now, he actually included a little description here saying that he's heard a lot of noise from folks around the league that Houston could pick one of the two corners, either Derek Stingley or Sauce Gardner with this 3rd overall pick. But, I agree with Schrager here. I think that the Texans should go with the best available tackle, go get a guy who's going to be a day one immediate upgrade on the offensive line. You have the 13th overall pick. There's a chance Stingley could be there. Okay, I think Gardner will be gone, but Stingley could be there. But worst case scenario, they're both gone. You could go get McDuffie from Washington, a guy who I really like, right? There's going to be cornerbacks in this draft, right? There's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of talent there. I wouldn't spend that 3rd overall pick on a cornerback when you have you have multiple great tackles sitting here right now that probably, most likely, won't be there at 13. Okay, so Ikem will come in, be a day one starter on the right side, pairing him up right next to Laramie Tunsil. I think it makes a ton of sense. He's a franchise type of player, much like we were talking about with Aidan Hutchinson a second ago. I think you got to protect Davis Mills. He's going into year 2. Extremely impressive rookie season. I know he didn't start the year off, and I know it wasn't really filled with a lot of wins and everything like that, but very tumultuous situation. You had the Deshaun Watson stuff going on. David Culley ended up getting fired, and Davis Mills held it down, put up some really impressive numbers down the stretch, and this team they decided to keep Laramie Tunsil. They decided to keep Brandon Cooks, actually extend him. So I think you got to get a guy to help this offensive line, get a guy that you can build around, and who's going to help in both pass pro and run blocking. Next up at pick 4, he has the Jets going Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge rusher from Oregon. I think this makes a ton of sense here. Okay, I really do. I mean, you look at edge rusher right now for the Jets, not only is it the most important position on the defense, but I would say right now it's arguably the biggest position of need on the entire team. Okay, so Thibodeaux comes in, checks both of those boxes. He has the upside. He provides a ton of versatility. And man, this guy is so young. 3 straight years of production at Oregon, just completely wrecked the Pac-12. I think it's spot number 4. Man, Sauce Gardner's here. Evan Neal is here. Charles Cross is here. Okay, there's a lot of Jermaine Johnson is here. There's a lot of talent that the Jets, there's a lot of different directions that the Jets could go in with this 4th overall pick. But if the Jets want to just go with the position of need, if they want to go get a guy with that high upside, go get a guy that's been productive over the last 3 seasons, Thibodeaux is here, and to me, at least, it makes a lot of sense. Next up at pick number 5, he has the Giants going Charles Cross, tackle from Mississippi State. One of my favorite prospects in the draft. Okay, I'm a big fan of Cross. I love what he did against the SEC West. I love what he does in pass protection. I think he would come in and be a huge upgrade for the Giants at tackle. I think it's one of the biggest needs on the football team, or really on the offense. My only gripe here with this pick, you could probably get him at spot number 7. Because Evan Neal is still on the board, so you could theoretically go with Jermaine Johnson here. You could go with Ahmad Gardner. He's still on the board, assuming they trade Bradbury. That's really my only downside. I know Charles Cross hasn't really talked about going this high, but I got to be honest. Because I'm a big fan of him just as a prospect, and I look at the team need for the Giants, and with Dayball coming in, you have to give Daniel Jones. If the Giants are giving Daniel Jones the reins moving forward for the season, you want to give him the best opportunity to have success. Go protect him, right? Go protect him with Charles Cross, right? You have Andrew Thomas, another young building block at tackle, a guy who I like. So I think for me it makes sense, but you could probably go get him at 7. Next up at pick number 6, he is the Carolina Panthers going Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pittsburgh. To me, it makes sense. I like it. I know that it is a reach, right, at spot number 6, but I just don't think this team could roll out Sam Darnold next year. I don't think this team should roll out Cam Newton. I think it's such a tough sell to the fan base, especially in an offseason where you have so much quarterback movement. Look at all the guys that got moved in Russell Wilson, in Deshaun Watson, in Carson Wentz. There was talks that Kirk Cousins could have been moved. There were so many guys that winded up on new teams, and Carolina didn't get anybody. Okay, even the second tier guys, Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Jameis Winston, the Panthers got nobody. So you're sitting here at spot number 6, unless this team wants to go all in for a CJ Stroud next season, and you want to, essentially tank, which I just don't see happening because Matt Rule's on his last leg. I don't see him mailing it in and just basically sacrificing his NFL job to lose a bunch of games to go get a high draft pick. He's not even going to be there next season. I just don't see that happening. So I think the Panthers need a guy that can play maybe right away, or if not right away, then maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks into the season. Kenny Pickett could provide that. I do feel like because he is a little older, because he spent so much time in college, he could pick up the offense quickly. I do feel like Ben McAdoo's Ben McAdoo's system will fit with Kenny Pickett's skill set. He will be accurate with the football, take care of the football, and again, he does provide size. He can't extend the play, so I do feel like Pickett in Carolina does make sense. Next up at pick number 70 is the Giants going Sauce Gardner, corner from Cincinnati. The Giants are just in such a great position with this draft at 5 and 7. Much like the Jets, I feel like the positions of need, the positions that the Giants lack desperately, this draft is really deep in. They're not gunning for one specific player. If they don't get him, all hell breaks loose. They're screwed. The Giants could go in a myriad of different directions here. Okay, so you go land Charles Cross first. Now you're coming back at 7 and you land Sauce Gardner. You're getting, or you're giving Wink Martindale a number 1 lockdown corner. I think that's awesome. I do feel like if this is the case, if it plays out this way, you got to trade James Bradberry, just try to clear that cap and, just try to recoup some of that money. But look, Gardner and Charles Cross, huge additions for the New York Giants. Next up at 8, he is the Falcons going tackle from Alabama, Evan Neal. I think there's a lot of aspects that I do like about this, but there's one big aspect that I don't like. I mean, we take a look at where the Falcons stand right now. I do feel like they need cornerstone franchise pieces. I do feel like they need a safe player, and they do need an impact player at pick number 8 here. Top 10 pick, you have to go get a guy that you could build around for, not only just the short term, but also the long term. I love Neal's versatility, not only positionally, right tackle or guard, but also right side or left side. Neal can do so many different things. So from that angle, I really like it. But this team, I mean, Jake Matthews is here, obviously a stud. And then you also have McGarry, and he was a first-round pick back in 2019. So is the idea to play Evan Neal at guard, and then when the team moves on from Matthews, plug him at left tackle? Is that the idea here? I'm not so sure. I think if I was Atlanta, I would much rather just go with the wide receiver, go with a pass rusher here, maybe even a Kyle Hamilton. But I think for me, wide receiver would be my number one choice for the Atlanta Falcons at spot number 8. You actually have every wide receiver on the board here. So whether you want London, whether you want Jameson Williams, whether you want a Garrett Wilson, whoever it is, you have your choice. The team lost Russell Gage. You had the unfortunate situation with Calvin Ridley. I really feel like this team needs wide receivers. At pick 9, he is the Seattle Seahawks going Derek Stingley, corner from LSU. I don't mind this, right? This team lost DJ Reed in free agency to the New York Jets. Derek Stingley will fit the system really well. Okay, I think just the big question mark here, the injury history. How will he look at the NFL level? Look, if this guy can replicate what he did his freshman season in the SEC, he's going to be a true number 1 corner. Like, I believe in Derek Stingley. Like, I love the upside. I love what he can do. And I do feel like in this style of defense, in the scheme, and looking at Pete Carroll specifically, I do feel like he can get a lot out of Derek Stingley. But will he stay healthy? Like, that's the big question mark. That's the big unknown here that nobody really has the answer to. But I also feel like if Stingley meets with the Seattle Seahawks, or if he already has, and that goes well, I could very well see this being the pick here. But I think my number 1 need for Seattle is tackle. Especially because Brown is a free agent and they are rolling out Drew Lock. They traded away Russell Wilson. I think you got to get as much protection on the offensive line, not only in the short term, but the long term. So I'm really shooting for Evan Neal here, maybe a Charles Cross if he falls, or, I mean, Ikem Ekwonu won't be here at 9, but man, I think for me, I'm looking at tackle, but Derek Stingley at 9, I wouldn't rule it out. Next up at pick number 10, last but not least here, the New York Jets. He has him going wide receiver from Alabama, Jameson Williams. I would love it. I really would. Okay, I'm a big fan of Williams, although I do like Garrett Wilson just a little bit more. Jameson coming off the ACL, I'm not too concerned about it. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to bounce back and still be extremely productive at the NFL level. Obviously, we've seen his stock shoot up over the last, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks. But look, at spot number 10, number 1, we addressed edge earlier. At 10, we could go in a bunch of different directions, but I feel like wide receiver is probably the favorite, at least for me. If I was running the Jets, I would really look at wide receiver, assuming this team doesn't go off and pull off a DK Metcalf trade, whoever it may be, AJ Brown, assuming that stays pat, right? Everything is status quo on that end. I think selecting a wide receiver at 10 makes a ton of sense. You're helping out Zach Wilson. You're addressing a position of need. You're getting a guy who will immediately help next season and for the long term. And also you're creating opportunities for the guys on the roster. So Jameson Williams at spot number 10. Let's see where he has Garrett Wilson going. Okay, Washington. Okay, so the very next pick here. So I think Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, even London, I would be fine with. But if I had to rank them, I think I would go Garrett Wilson 1, then Williams. I think that's probably my number 1 and number 2. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, go Jets.